Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Luiz, and we are here today for the lesson number 10 of the Introduction to Spiritism. I hope you enjoy those moments that we're going to spend together. The lesson today is called Miracle or Phenomenon. As you know, we are following the book by Terezinha Oliveira, Initiation into Spiritism. We're going to spend about 40 minutes in the lesson, and then we will have a couple of questions. What is a miracle? The word miracle means something amazing, extraordinary, and surprising. Something like that picture on your left. That picture shows the levitation of a table during a Spiritist meeting that happened in 1898. Actually, this has happened in the house of Camille Flammarion. Camille Flammarion is a gentleman, is a man, not a woman. Then sometimes we understand that Camille is a woman. No, actually, Camille. Let's see if I'm not sure if it's this guy or this guy. I don't see enough of the face to recognize, but it's one of the two. This has happened in his residence, and the medium there was the famous Eusapia Palladino. Anyway, this is definitely an amazing, extraordinary, and surprising phenomenon. Popularly, a miracle is understood as a supernatural fact, something that is beyond and outside nature, something unusual and inexplicable, a derogation from the laws of nature. A floating table definitely is something unusual and inexplicable, isn't it? Is it a miracle? Whoops, I pressed the wrong. Just a second. My mouse was in the wrong place. In the past, there were many things considered as wonderful or supernatural. Some were not real facts, but only baseless creeds or superstitions, like little elves walking on gardens and forests. Others were true phenomena, natural facts, such as a solar eclipse, as shown in this picture. They were considered miracles because people did not understood what they were. Their causes were unknown. We know that centuries ago, many spiritual person in a tribe used eclipses to talk about mysticisms and miracles. Today we know that's just the moon coming over the sun. It's not a darkness that came from the bad deeds that were done by the tribe. Spiritism explains miracles in a different way. With the progress of human knowledge, the marvelous and supernatural, that universe became smaller. Science, such as astronomy, that explains to us the solar eclipses, they show us that through the laws of gravity and the orbits, this happens. But also, Spiritism explains miracles to us. The same Spirit that reveals and demonstrates to us the existence of spirits, how the spirits act upon fluids, and also how certain phenomena happens as effects of a spiritual cause. They're not miracles, they are part of nature. This picture on the left, by instance, is a case of materialization. Actually, that's the spirit of Cathy King. That's one of the left, of course, that actually materialized in full size just besides the medium Sir William Crookes. Obviously, this has happened in England, I believe around the 1900s. So, is it a miracle? No, it's a phenomena that Spiritism explains, a phenomena that has spiritual causes. The cures performed by Jesus, for example, were considered miracles at that time by the people, in the sense that they were an amazing thing, a prodigy. Nowadays, Spiritism clarifies that healing phenomena occur through fluidic action, transmission of energies, and intervention in the perispirit, and allow us to examine and understand the cures performed by mediums, spiritists or not, or by persons endowed with excellent magnetism. I have to make a parenthesis here because there's a lot of things in this paragraph and a lot of words. Fluidic action has to do with fluids. And as always in Spiritism, we must be careful with the words because Spiritism uses words for historical reason with a meaning that is different from our everyday life. Fluid, for instance, today we understand as either a gas or a liquid, something that flows. Lighter fluid, for instance, refrigeration fluid. That's how we understand today in the 21st century. But back then, fluids have a different understanding. We're talking about a time before electricity was well understood, before the Maxwell equations were written, before the concept of fields had appeared. So people thought that the interaction, the unseen interaction among bodies was performed by fluids. Magnetism, and here I'm talking about the refrigerator magnet, kind of magnetism, was a result of fluid dynamics, so different meaning. Energy also, in the context of Spiritist, has a different meaning. We understand energy as, strength, the energy to do things, or the energy that moves this box. Here, energy has more to do with the transmission of something that empowers the other side to for an action to happen. So slightly different meaning. And of course, we have the perispirit that you probably already learned in a different lesson. That is a material, but made of ethereal material body that we all have, incarnated or discarnated. And that while incarnated, it's here together with our physical body. Wow. And magnetism, again, when in Spiritist works it is described that some people have the ability to cure through magnetism. We are not talking about the refrigerator magnet kind of magnetism, but a sort of power of influence that is transmitted from one spirit to the other, from one incarnated spirit to another. Okay, so close parenthesis, and I hope this has helped. Back on Terezinha Oliveira book, she reminds us that this explanation of the cures performed by Jesus neither diminishes nor invalidates the admirable cures made by Jesus. On the contrary, it leads us to recognize that Jesus had a high degree of wisdom and power of action. And this wisdom and power of action allowed him to trigger divine laws and produce such phenomena that we all have read about. From the Spirit's book, that's the first book of the codification, we can hear from Kardec that Spiritism states and shows that the phenomena on which it is based are only supernatural in appearance. To certain individuals, such phenomena do not appear natural because they are unusual and outside the orbit of known events. However, they are no more supernatural than all the other phenomena for which today's science is providing an explanation, and which appeared extraordinary in earlier times. Essentially, what he's saying here is that materialization that I have shown a picture to you and the other phenomena, they're not miracles. They just appear extraordinary. And the same way that science provides an explanation to the solar eclipse, Spiritism provides an explanation to those phenomena that are part of nature. Continuing with Kardec words, all spirit phenomena, without exception, are consequences of general laws, are consequences of nature. They have revealed to us one of the forces of nature, an unknown force, or rather, one that has not been understood until today, but one that observation has shown to be in the overall scheme of things. If you are curious, that picture on the left is the medium Peixotinho that is materializing Sister Josefa, that the spirit in white behind him, besides Chico Xavier. You can see that Chico Xavier is very young. I believe this picture has been taken around 1950 or something like that. The thing that comes out from Peixotinho's mouth is ectoplasm, is what generated the materialization behind him, allowing us to see Sister Josefa with our physical eyes. Actually, just a little later after those experiments, Chico Xavier stopped working in materialization. He was very interested in that in the early days. But what happened is that Emmanuel, who I'm sure you know was his mentor, told him to stop with these silly things. This is not important. The books are important. And Chico Xavier psychographed over 400 books during his life. He's one of the mediums that we must thank every day for the huge contribution that he gave us by transmitting and publishing in books the thoughts of those spirits that had the will and patience to share a little bit about their lives while in the ethereal spirit, while being ethereal spirits, meaning not incarnated. This way, we know so much more today about life out there. Anyway, summing up, facts taken as miracles are nothing but phenomena. These phenomena are within the natural laws and are effects whose cause escapes the reasoning of average people. But they are phenomena, they are not miracles. They can occur whenever some necessary factors are combined. If there are things that seem inexplicable to us, it's because our current level of evolution does not allow us to understand this phenomena. However, everything that happens is always within natural laws. If you are curious, this image in the left is of a medium. We call them, I lost the word in English, but they came, this is one of the mediums that came before Spiritism. Daniel Douglas Home. This image comes from around 1830. So before Kardec wrote the codification. It's showing, he levitating very, very high in the second story of a building, maybe third story of a building. And this is real. This actually happened. This particular medium had a very favorable aspect of his mediunity towards physical effects. You will probably learn in a lesson that we have mediums of physical effects, of intelligent effects, etc. Daniel Douglas Home did a lot of things in using his mediunity for physical effects, including levitation. He also materialized the spirits, but this is a levitation thing. It's unbelievable. Can you imagine what people thought seeing this in the 1800s? And mediunity is not something that has to do only with Spiritism. Mediunity is part of us humans. And it probably has been happening with us humans for ages, for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years. So can you imagine thousands of years ago, a medium doing stuff like that? It's understandable that they thought it was a miracle. And thankfully, Daniel Douglas Home was not alive during the Middle Ages, because he would be a very good candidate for the cleansing fire. Oh well. It's good that we are also not in the Middle Ages, so that we can study this and better understand the nature of the universe. But let's go on. Spiritism places within our reach many spiritual resources with which it becomes possible to trigger certain natural laws and produce some phenomena which help our neighbors and ourselves. But we should not seek Spiritism only to obtain instant cure of our physical or spiritual ailments. We will be very disappointed if we go in that direction. The key aim of Spiritism is not to accomplish phenomena, either cure or showy things. The aim of Spiritism is to help with the moral progress of humanity. We have a mission here, actually, of improving ourselves, with that, improving humanity as a whole, and with that, to improve Earth. The greatest miracle that Spiritism performs is not to take problems and pains out of our way. It is to explain to us the reason of things and to teach us how to improve ourselves so that we can generate good and happy results for us and the others. It is to prevent and solve spiritual problems, provided we employ our will and effort to do good deeds. We can, by using our free will and our ability to learn, to actually prevent spiritual problems. But the only way to do this is by learning and by using our free will to improve ourselves. Also, Spiritism aim to help us to endure those things that we cannot change for the time being. They are probably atonement or trial for our immortal souls, but are things that we cannot change in this incarnation. So we have to understand and endure it. And this is something that Spiritism teaches us and help us to do. Jesus performed extraordinary things due to his great spiritual evolution. In fact, Jesus only gave us a sample of spiritual achievements that are possible. The spirits that continue to reincarnate on earth will be able to perform many wonderful phenomena as well. Because the human being is evolving, and we are increasingly learning how to deal with the laws and forces of the spiritual world. However, one needs faith to accomplish spiritual phenomena. So then we go to the second part of this lesson about faith. Picking apart of the Gospel according to Spiritism, another work that's part of the codification brought to us by Allan Kardec. From chapter 19, he tells us, through faith, humans act upon the fluid, the universal agent, modifying its qualities and giving it an impulse that is irresistible, so to speak. Thus, those who combine a normally large fluidic power with an ardent faith can, solely by their will directed toward the good, perform remarkable phenomena of healing and other phenomena formerly regarded as miracles, but which are nothing more than the consequences of a natural law. I believe no explanation is necessary. Whoops. Sorry about that. Mouse on the wrong place. Back to Teresinha Oliveira, she tells us that faith is the conviction regarding spiritual things, the certainty that, although they escape our common senses, because they are invisible and impalpable, they exist, they are real, and they work. Spiritual things exist, they are real, and they work. Faith is the conviction, is our conviction in that. Faith comes as a result of knowledge of spiritual things. How can we obtain knowledge of spiritual things? We can obtain it through the direct observation of spiritual phenomena, whether objective or subjective, experienced by ourselves or other people. If you are curious, this photo is another materialization of Sister Josefa. In this particular moment, she is receiving a book from the heads of Dr. Valdo Vieira and Chico Xavier. It's told to us that after that, the materialized form actually talked and entered into a dialogue with the people present. Definitely, that's a way for us to obtain faith as a result of the direct observation or phenomena experienced by other people. That spirits are real, exist. But there are other ways. Through reasoning about the phenomena of the universal life, we can infer from them laws, concepts, principles that transcend our senses. And also through information about spiritual realities given to us by others, being them incarnated or not incarnated, but by others that deserve our trust and respect, not by anyone, incarnated or not incarnated. And that's it. An example, the book at the left is called The Messengers. It's a book written by André Luiz that you probably know from Nosso Lar. That is probably the most famous of the books by André Luiz. Even became a movie. André Luiz is one of those that shared with us in a series of books that called Life in the Spiritual World series of books, where he tells us his experiences as an ethereal spirit in Nosso Lar, doing tasks, accompanying other more elevated spirits in their tasks. Thanks to André Luiz and others, we have a lot of information about spiritual realities. Spiritual realities of when we are ethereal spirits on the ethereal world, or spiritual realities that affect us while incarnated. So that's the kind of good information source that one can rely to learn more and to strengthen his faith. Back to Teresinha, she tells us that in order to lead to the right action, faith has to be enlightened and well-founded. Our faith should allow us to understand who we are, where we came from, and why we are in the world, and where we will go after death. That is, that we are spirits, children of God, coming from the spiritual plane, incarnated here to evolve until we go back to the plane from whence we came. Our faith should show us that we can act upon things and beings, and how we should act upon things and beings. Faith should motivate us to do good, as it is the only good way for each and every one of us to move ahead. It's the only good way. Our faith should assure us of divine support and assistance, for our good spiritual achievements through Jesus and the good spirits, which are his emissaries next to us. What Teresinha is telling us is that we always have support from the evolved spirits. As you probably already learned, we have a number of spirits that are all the time helping us, guiding us in a good way. If we just let them do that, we all have a mentor that's close by us. And as long as we give him space and thought, and we'll get his good influences. All of them will provide assistance for us to go in the correct way. Even though we don't maybe hear them, they are providing us with inspiration and protection and guidance. Our faith should give us the courage in this evolutionary effort, and courage in this effort towards the practice of good. This will allow us to get results, to improve ourselves while here, or well, there as well, in the material world. But faith should give us the courage and the perseverance for us to do this. And Teresinha tells us that such is the faith that can carry mountains, as in the picture on the left. That's obviously a metaphor. It's obviously a metaphor. It means such is the faith that makes one endure some sufferings, overcome difficulties, and transform situations and people. We already have some faith. We know a little about spiritual life, and with this faith, small it is, we have already managed to achieve something, to overcome difficulties, to endure situations. All of us, you and me. But if we cultivate our faith by studying, especially studying, observing, and practicing spiritual things, our faith will grow and allow us to do things that are more difficult and more important, truly admirable. And that was the message for you today from this lesson, Miracle or Phenomenon. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it brought something new to you, even if it's just a detail. And now we'll go to question and answers. Maybe there you'll find important information for you as well. We have questions. Question is, why we only see references to materialization phenomena from past centuries? That's a very good question. It will probably require a long answer. Anyway, phenomena has been happening in the world for tens of millennia, as we have already said. Specifically, in the 1800s, a group of spirits decided to share their view of the world, of the universe, actually, with us, led by the Spirit of Truth. They started to using mediums that were fluent to do physical phenomena to attract our attention. That's the case of the Fox sisters. You probably have heard of them, who could hear knocks on the house. That when the physical phenomena came about, the levitation of tables, the intelligence boards that started with yes or no, and eventually using letters gave us answers, gave people answers that allow others to say, well, there is something intelligent providing those answers. And eventually it was learned actually, that those who were giving those answers were spirits. And that the spirits were no other than ourselves while discarnated. So, materialization phenomena, or physic phenomena as a whole, was very important at the beginning of the Spiritism, and was performed by spirits to gather our attention. And actually, they were very proficient on doing that, if I might say so. Materialization in the beginning of the 20th century was relatively common. But two things happened. First, it was not necessary anymore to bring attention to people. The core of Spiritism became teaching people. It's so much important that we learn, that we see something materializing. And there's a second reason. There is risk for the medium. We learned that the medium is under an actually physical risk. His physical body is at risk during a materialization experience. If people touch the ectoplasma, or if other perturbations occur, this might actually do damage to the medium. So it's not something that is performed today, not in the Spiritist environment. There are actually mediums who do it today, but only in the realm of mediumistic feats, unrelated to Spiritism. As you know, as we have mentioned, mediunity is part of humankind, so it's there, either if the person is Spiritist or any other religion or non-religion. But inside Spiritism today, yes, you're correct. Materialization is very seldom done because there's no objective to do it, and it represents a risk to whoever is doing it. I believe I have answered it. Is there another question? Haha. Question is, in Spiritism, fate seems to have a different meaning from other religions. Is that so? Well, yes, that's true. Most religions, they bring with them a number of postulates, of things that have to be accepted. We are asked to have blind faith by most religions. And the meaning of faith is many times associated with this, with blind faith. You should blindly believe that so-and-so. A few centuries ago, you were asked by one religion that we should blindly believe that by buying a document called an indulgence statement or indulgence letter, I don't know, an indulgence, we would be absolved of all our sins and wrongdoings, either already made or that we were to make in our lives. So you would be guaranteed the realm of heaven. Come on, guys, that's blind faith. We were being asked to blindly believe that. In Spiritism, faith is something different. Sometimes we use the expression reasoned faith. A Spiritist should have reasoned faith. Reasoned faith. A faith that's the result of our reason. We should, I'm looking at the watch here. We should learn as much as we can. And from what we learn and reason, build our model of the universe. And our belief, our faith should be based on that model of the universe that we have built with our reasoning, based on our knowledge. Kardec has a phrase or a statement. I forget what it's from. I should have a reference here for you. It says something like, we learn, and from that we build knowledge, and reasoning about that, we have a certainty, an almost mathematical certainty of the spiritual things. This almost mathematical certainty is the kind of reasoned faith that Spiritism talks about. Any other questions? Haha! Good question. What Spiritist books should we study? Yes, in the end of the presentation, I told you, study. So yeah, what should we study? We definitely should read the codification, the 5 books by Allan Kardec, maybe one or another book by Allan Kardec as well, such as What is Spiritism? He has some small books. They are great. The codification we should read and reread. It's interesting. I have read most of those books many times, and whenever I read them again, I find things that I had not noticed before. It's actually a very good practice to participate in reading studies of those books, because when reading together, part by part, sometimes, one of us sees things that the other doesn't, that we would not notice reading by ourselves. So you should not only read one and many times, but try to participate in study groups of the books. That's very good. Also, there are a number of very good Spiritist work, both by incarnated and discarnated persons. Regarding the incarnated, try to go to established Spiritist authors. There are many, very, very good. Some of those books are very thick, like the Perispirit book or the Mediunity book by Zimmermann. But try to stick to good and respected incarnated authors, like Sueli, Campos, if I'm not wrong about her last name. Recently discarnated. Regarding discarnated authors, also look for reliable work from reliable psychographic mediums, such as Divaldo Franco, Chico Xavier, of course, and spirits such as André Luiz, Emmanuel, Filomena de Miranda. From those sources, you have like a few hundred books that will definitely improve your knowledge of Spiritism, your faith, and will allow you to improve yourself. We reached our goal. I was directed to be strict with my time with you. This was lesson 10, Miracle or Phenomenon. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back in lesson 24 and talk to you about dreams and sleep and the emancipation of the soul. It's been a pleasure being here with you. Take care.